Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to bring you the second Blade Vortex character. So I was talking when I was uploading my Blade Vortex Juggernaut, the pure fire one. I said something that I want to actually do it a second time, and I want to make it as a Chieftain without using a bow, just a typical Blade Vortex playstyle. The difference between those two is this one has more damage than the other one, and has better area of effect because we are using what I call popcorn weapons, which is enemies killed explode, dealing 5% of their life as fire damage. Since we're scaling fire damage, we're gonna make some very nice ASMR pop sounds that do actually quite a lot of damage and help us clearing. So I also wanted to make a very big AoE of Vile Blade, or at least from Blade Vortex, which didn't really work out the way I wanted to, but I want to talk about this one a little bit later. So this is it. This is the Chieftain this time as a Blade Vortex character. Currently playtime, we have 20 hours, so yeah, 1 day leveling, 1 day gearing, and a little bit of playing, and here we are, level 90. And for the showcase, we're also gonna run the last Guardian here, and then just going to kill Uber Elder, yeah. And this is going to be the map showcase, and then we're going to talk about build, gear, decisions, and so on. Alright, anything... yeah, should be fine. Okay, so, map showcase, it's pretty much the same playstyle as the other Blade Vortex character, which is Blade Vortex with Unleash, so we're having 3 stacks. Every time I'm using my Blade Vortex, I'm getting a couple of stacks here. And as you see, it's just running, and just exploding everything. So if there is a mob alive still, I'm not gonna deal with the syndicates at the moment. Don't want to. What was I saying? I don't know. Yeah, if there is mobs staying alive somewhere, it's because this map has Beyond, which means there is some mob spawning. So as you see here, the clear speed is actually faster, especially on these tier 16 monolith guys here. Than the other character, but in the end the other character had like 2000 more life and more life regen and stuff, right? So this one is clear, so let's just jump around here and listen to this beautiful ASMR here. Pop, pop, pop. Popcorn build. Easy clap. So, anything special over here? No, this is that, this is that. Here we have some syndicates. Nasty syndicates here. Okay, they are dead, whatever. I don't want to make the build showcase too long, so we're just gonna basically skip the majority of that stuff here. Anything here to pick up? Yeah, whatever. Let's just move on for the next part here. Killing the boss, the last Guardian, and then we're gonna kill the Uber Elder. And it's again a first timer, okay? So I haven't tried Uber Elder in this character yet. I have a feeling that I will actually do him, because I don't see a reason why not. Alright, so let's just move on. This build is also capable of playing with 3 Inspired Learnings and Headhunter. I'm going to explain where to put your Inspired Learnings to even get more speed, more clear area, and so on for faster mapping, basically, right? But I know when I'm playing with a Headhunter in the showcase that people are offended, so that's why I'm definitely skipping it right here. So let's check at the Guardian here, portal up. There is a way that you can do, this is something I'm actually doing on Uber Elder, I just have these items here, that would be turning away the bubonic trails and just taking Chaos Roots. This is something for Uber Elder, and then you can skip out the Ink AoE for the Conk effect to get some extra damage. But this is something I usually only do on Uber Elder, cause, yeah, why not? You know, I don't need the damage here for these Uber Guardians. And before somebody complains, we're just gonna skip that out again. Yeah, mbX, you said you don't need the damage, but then you equip it anyway, so why? Yeah, I know guys, I'm a bad person. But as you see, it's just a typical, yeah, brain AFK playstyle. You're just gonna jump around and, yeah, kill things. Exactly the way I want it, right? Just don't worry about anything, have a lot of regen and leech, and be tanky and have some decent damage, and just wait until boss is dead, or skipping phase or whatever. Faster, faster. So pop some Flasks. And Magistrate Crown Fragment of the Hydra. So, Uber Elder, come on, do it faster. I need to leave. I need to get my juicy Watcher's Eye Jewel. For Pantheons on the showcase here on the Uber Elder, and this time, as I said, I haven't done Uber Elder on this character yet, but I just imagine that the Chaos Roots is something I want to use for Uber Elder, cause if you remember, the Juggernaut has the Unstoppable Ascendancy, which cannot be slowed below base movement speed, so freeze immunity, so popping those in, losing phasing because of that, but it still should be fine. So here we take Conk Effect for some more damage. We're just gonna drop everything into the Loots tab, as always, and then we're just gonna blindly run into this Uber Elder. So, quick sip of coffee while the shit is loading up. Coffee is good. So, a thing here is, I'm using Flame Dash to proc my endurance charges. So I have like 35% chance when I'm using Flame Dash to get an endurance charge. And this is what I'm usually doing just like when I have my stacks up. So I'm having all of the charges up. Like Frenzy and Power charges are coming from the chest from the Farris 4, and the other ones are just coming from the Flame Dash here. But as you see, damage is quite nice here. We actually skipped the phase transition here, and we're just taking care of Shaper Beam and Shaper Balls, and hopefully I'm not running again into one of these beams here. And having a little bit a better showcase here. So we're loading everything up, we can just move through, we have enough regen and something and stuff like that to just, yeah. Don't worry too much about stuff. So, here we have the transition. Popping Val Blade Vortex, popping the Val Righteous Fire for more spell damage. An instant phase transition here. That's juicy. Okay, so dodge a little bit here. Let's just run around here. I'm having automatically triggered Stone Golem. I have Flammability and also Val Molten Shell coming from my weapons here. That's like a triple setup here. So, last two phases shouldn't be too hard, to be honest. So, Shaper Slam, move back, Shaper Beam, phase transition, Tentacles, Shaper Balls, always be careful here. Slow, and this is the most important thing, slow. I have Chaos Root, so I'm not getting slowed too much here, right? So, can we gaze into the abyss? Where is it? Here it is. So we're just gonna keep up our Blade Vortex stacks and just run around, get some stacks here, and then we're probably gonna have the Val Blade Vortex slash Righteous Fire up again on the yeah, last phase here. Let's see about that. So there we are. Oops. So Val Blade Vortex, Righteous Fire. This guy is dead. This guy is dead, and yeah, as easy as always. Pretty nice. It's actually weird that I have less HP than the Juggernaut, and this one made it deathless. Anyways, so as you see, pretty straightforward build. Get your Val Blade Vortex up and just dodge things, and have a lot of regen and a lot of life, and just don't get hit. So anything good here? Penetrating and Steel Ring, and that's Superior Siege Axe. Maybe pop this one in. So let's talk about the build itself. And I just have to say, wait a second. Yeah, I forgot to upgrade my Ugold Pantheon powers. And I haven't even selected one of those here. So now we have Solaris and Ugold. So as you see, I could have taken less damage over here if I upgrade those. Through the leveling, I was just speed leveling this up, so I didn't even pick my Pantheons yet. Yeah, good build at all. So identify and obviously make a perfect implicit, or actually just vol it. Okay, nothing special, remove. Perfect. So let's talk about the gear real quick. Let's just throw everything into here. So that's just Uber Elder. So where are we gonna start from top to bottom? So first of all, this build is more expensive than the Juggernaut. So I'm gonna make sure that I'm talking about this one firsthand, because I probably spent, I don't know, like 20x on the Juggernaut, and on this one like 70, 80x or something, because Farris 4 is like 20 exalts with the recoloring. The double pop weapons were kind of nasty to do. The bubonics are not the cheapest. Yeah, so, and also the Transcendent Flash here and the Watcher's Eye. So basically this character is probably 3 times more expensive. And it is better, I would say, but it's like more damage. The other one is just more defensive. Alright, let's start with the Helm. It's pretty much the same as the other one, which was increased Blade Vortex duration, so our Blade Vortex stacks last longer than usual. I have in here Anger, Herald of Ash, Clarity, and Enlighten. Clarity only because my Watcher's Eye has an additional Clarity mod, which is not mandatory, but if I have a Clarity mod on my Watcher's Eye, I'm just popping in the level 1 Clarity, and that's about it, you know. So, for the weapons, we have 2 times the pop weapon, what I call it. So that is basically crafted, like this is a shaper mace, and the shaper mace can have the Fizz's extra fire mod and also the explode mod here, right? But the way I did it, I was spamming hundreds or even thousands of the scorched fossils. I don't have any of those left probably. Oh no, gambling spoilers! Stop, go back. So that means the scorched fossil has more fire modifiers. So it's easier to roll those because both explode and the Fizz's extra fire are scorched fossil, or at least like our fire mod, so they are easier to get with scorched fossils. The good thing is you get like 4 scorched fossils for 1 chaos, and the resonators maybe for 1 chaos each. So it's not like bad if you spam 500, that's probably 600 chaos or something. So it's not like other fossils that go like for 10 chaos per piece. So this is very like cheap, okay? So what I did here is I was checking for gain Fizz's extra fire and also the Explo mod. And by the way, I'm having those 2 times. And if you're wondering now, hey, wait a second, if you have the explode here, why do you have it on the second time? I just think for more damage and this explode, as long as, like, this is the information that I have, okay? I cannot really confirm that because the damage is overkill anyways, okay? So the thing that I want to say is as long as the Explo mod has the same type of element. So if we're checking here the Impulsor, it says explode dealing 5% lightning damage. These ones have explode dealing 5% as fire damage. And since I wear those 2, they basically stack. It's the same way with my bubonic trails. I have those only because of the hypnotic eye jewels and searching eye jewel, because both of those have 8% chance to gain phasing on kill. Phasing is something very, very enjoyable while mapping, okay? Means when you have your Blade Vortex up, you're just gonna run through everything and everything pops, so you don't get stuck by mobs, you know? And that's the reason why I'm having double phasing mod. And if you have 2 of those, you have 16% basically, right? And so it's the same way on these weapons here. The rest is just multi-modded with spell damage, extra chaos damage, fire damage to spells, and then here I have trigger socketed spell when you use a skill. I have here Molten Shell, Stone Golem, and Flammability. So every time I'm using a skill, I'm proccing one of those. So here my Golem got summoned, here I'm using Flammability, here I used Molten Shell, next one is the Stone Golem again. I noticed the Stone Golem recasting all the time is a little bit overkill. But hey, I better not worry about my Stone Golem. It's just there when I need it, right? So it's just more regen at all. And this is for damage, and Molten Shell is just more armor, which is also quite nice as another layer of defense. They also have separate cooldowns, right? So if I just have Flammability, what else do we have? Stone Golem, and we have the Val Molten Shell, or at least Molten Shell. As you see, this one got triggered, this one got triggered, this one got triggered. And now we're waiting, and the next one is the Golem again, or at least the Flammability, and then it's the Golem again. So why not Molten Shell? Because the cooldown of Molten Shell only starts once the timer is done, okay? So as long as you have Molten Shell active, you will not get the cooldown of it. Now it's gone, now it starts the cooldown, okay? That's why I'm having those 3 skills here in this weapon to trigger them every time I'm recasting Blade Vortex, using Flame Dash, something like that. On the other weapon, typical cast when damage taken, Steel Skin, and increased duration for another layer of defense. And here I have Arcane Surge when you kill an enemy. Arcane Surge gives us spell damage, more damage. It's typically up in mapping all the time, and for bossing, sometimes there are mobs that spawning where you get the Arcane Surge, and if not, then you don't have it, okay? So not too hard here. Although I'm not even sure if actually the spell crit would be more damage here. Alright, so for the chest I'm having a Farris 4, that's because this build compared to the other build was a non-crit ally overload build. This one is a power charge crit build, so it's dealing more damage here, right? And that's why I'm also taking the power charges here, especially this one, because the small node here gives spell damage per power charge. And there is one way to have unlimited power and frenzy charges, which is the Farris 4. You can take any other chest, okay? I was playing around with 3 dragons where you say like fire damage can shock, and then the shock with the impulsor, but then I was like, hey, wait a second, if I'm having double pop weapons, why the hell do I need an impulsor on top of that? It does work, it's not efficient, right? I was also trying out a carcass check, but I want to talk about the area of effect in a bit. I was maybe thinking Queen of the Forest, but then I cannot play with Anger because I have to use Grace, so I get the movement speed, so that wasn't really an option. You can pick up a Lore Weave if you need the max resistance, so there is nothing in this build that is a must-have item, okay? Like, I'm playing here with a Fizz's Extra Fire Amulet. You can also take an Owl's Amulet with Anger reserves no mana, or Cello Tree reserves no mana, and then just add the other one, which is also a really nice damage increase, right? You can take, if you want to, which I not recommend, take Exhaust Blood, for example, for Avatar of Fire. But especially, this is something that's more for the Jug, because the Chieftain already has the chance to cover enemies in Ash, right? And I have increased strength. And with my conversion here on the Nagahamo's Flame Advance, there is absolutely, what do I get from Exhaust Blood then when I have everything coming from my skill tree, right? So that's why I'm saying this is more of a Juggernaut thing, because they don't have access to that. And yeah, so I'm having increased area of effect for mapping, Control Destruction, Combustion, Unleash, Fire Pen, and Blade Vortex. So I want to mention something, and this is the increased area of effect that I wanted to talk about, the Carcass check. So there's one big thing here, if you're just going to check out Blade Vortex PoE. And this is actually quite funny. So it says here, where do we have it? Visual effect. Blade Vortex visual effect does not scale with area of effect modifiers. Instead, it gives a rough indication of radius. There are several versions of the knife effect. Each rotation is different radius, blah, blah, blah. So what I encountered is, as soon as I use one time Unleash, I'm having maximum AoE. The only thing that changes here I have one big blade, and once I have 10 stacks, I'm having 2 big blades. But the area of effect doesn't change. And if I'm having 10 stacks now, right? If I remove the ink AoE, I don't really feel there is anything changing here. Absolutely nothing. There is something changing when I'm using the conk effect. Not even, holy shit. Conk to increased AoE, anything? So as you see, there is no effect. So what that means is the Blade Vortex will have an invisible area of effect. This is what it says here, right? It's just a visual effect, but you can still scale it and with area of effect. So the thing that I was doing was just going here to the Blood Aqueducts and just lured the zombies to my area, right? So that means I'm just going to remove one of the pop weapons here, so I don't have golems and stuff. So I'm having here my 7, 8, 9, 10 stacks. So I'm just waiting here until these mobs come to me. And then I can actually see when they will start getting damage. It's here, okay? With the conk effect, let's check again. When is this guy popping? Wow, this is now an insane reduced amount here. Maybe I have to wait until the stacks are gone. So what I want to say is the increased area of effect is actually comparable to the conk effect. So here I get less area of effect, on the other I get increased area of effect. So it's really a big difference, but the conk effect gives me a lot of damage, right? But using a carcass check with increased area of effect, I'm getting maybe like, let's say 5 to 10 pixels on clearing radius. And this, for using a carcass check, is absolutely not necessary, okay? And that's why I was thinking of, like I was starting with the carcass check, because I was like, hey, let's make it a screen-wide Blade Vortex, right? But it's not working like that. So increased area of effect and conk effect do make a difference, but the carcass check with the increased area of effect is maybe a tiny little bit more. So I was thinking like, what else can we take, okay? That's why I mentioned before Lore Weave. And then I came across the Farris, because this is a crit build, and generating power and frenzy charges is not that easy. I need to have an Assassin's Mark, a Wild's Mark ring, a Poacher's Mark on hit, something like that, okay? But this only counts for mapping, if I kill something. On Uber Elder, Shaper, I will never get any kind of charges. So there's a little trick here, right? This is something I want to show here. power and frenzy charges are generated as soon as Farris Force switches those stances, right? But there is one problem, as you see here. Once the agility wears off, like the power and frenzy charge is lasting like 10 seconds, this is like 8 seconds, and you will see as soon as the next one gets in, I'm running out of frenzy, I'm running out of power charges, I need to wait another 5 seconds until my stances switch again, and I'm getting my power and frenzy charges again. So the thing how to counter that is, if you're having a ring with the aspect of the cat and get in a less duration support, now my cat's agility will last only 4 seconds instead of 8 seconds. That means that my both power and endurance charge, power and frenzy charges will never run off, okay? So this is a very nice trick, less duration on an unset ring with aspect of the cat. So you really have it permanently. And if you're wondering why did I have power charges, it's because of my Ascendancy. I choose to go with this one as another layer of defense. If I take the Ramako Sun's Light, I would technically have more damage, but here I'm having 35% chance to gain an endurance charge when I use a fire skill. So problem is, Blade Vortex is not a fire skill, but Flame Dash is. So every time I'm using Flame Dash, I'm generating endurance charges. And usually if I'm just like flame dashing around, dodging something, they will just stack up after some time. It's not like I'm really like 100% focusing on endurance charges that I have to keep them up all the time here, right? This was just a nice way to just generate them passively and just get the resistance and the damage reduction and so on, right? There was another thing that I was thinking about. What if we take Firestorm into our trigger socket, right? Firestorm is Firestorm is a fire skill, so it should generate endurance charges, but it sadly does not work when you trigger it. So I would spawn Firestorms here when I'm using skills and like the way I do with Molten Shell and stuff, but the problem is that doesn't generate me endurance charges. Alright, so next one, let's stay at the ring here. This is just Essence of Hysteria crafted, so I'm getting the mod Fizz as extra fire here, then crafted, like I was just spamming those away until I had something good, could be live. Here I hit the fire damage to attack and spells, which also gives me more damage on my Blade Vortex, and then I just beast crafted the aspect of the cat, multi-modded, and get a restoration in there. For the amulet, same playstyle basically. An Elder Amulet can give you Fizz's extra fire damage, so I was trying the Scorched Fossils to spam like 200 on those in the hope to get Fizz's extra fire with any useful other mod, right? But after like an hour I gave up. I said like, you know, I'm just going to alt spam that shit now and just regal annul it and live with it, right? And then I just life and resistance to be balanced, right? Okay, for the gloves I have here Fizz convert to fire damage. As I was saying before, this character doesn't run Avatar of Fire. That means I still need to find a way to convert 50% from fire to from Fizz to fire, because 50% I get from the Ascendancy, so we need to get another 50%. On the Juggernaut we solve this with the Quiver, right? But on this one, I have here the Fizz to fire conversion on the gloves, and also the Anger mod on my Watcher's Eye, which gives me 30 to 40% or 25 to 40% physical damage converted to fire. So you need to make sure that the Watcher's Eye plus the gloves end up being 50% plus. So this one is 21, here I have 34, which ends up 55, so it's a little bit more, but in the end I want to have 50% here on those two stats here and the Nagahamo's Flame, which gives me another 50%, right? So I'm dealing 100%. So why do I do that if I could just take Avatar of Fire? The thing is, Avatar of Fire, I cannot do any non-fire damage. And if I'm doing this without Avatar of Fire, I can take care of Ethereal's Promise. Physical is extra chaos damage, ally damage is extra chaos damage. Remember the thing with the Eternity Shroud where you go from lightning into cold into fire and every time get the portion of chaos damage? It's the same principle here. Blade Vortex is a physical spell, so I'm getting the 15% at 20% Fizz extra chaos. Then it gets converted to fire, and I'm getting another 15% fire damage as extra chaos. So that's why I'm doing actually quite a lot of damage here coming from chaos over here, right? Perfect. So, what's the next thing to talk about? I have here Flame Dash with faster casting, increased duration, and Righteous Fire. Righteous Fire gives me more spell damage as I pop it, right? So I typically use that with Blade Vortex to kill off Guardians in like 2 seconds or so. Or in Uber Elder, once I kill the mobs, I can just burst down a whole phase just with that. I usually had the Flame Dash over here in my boots. But then I was thinking like it would be better to just have a Chaos Roots to make the Uber Elder fight easier, and that's why I swapped my Flame Dash faster casting from the boots to my gloves. Before that I had Righteous Fire with Empower, increased duration, and something else that I forgot. I think Portal or something, okay? So that's why I just keep them over here and just unequip those without caring about anything else. For the belt, it's just life recovery rate and maximum life. I got this with pristine fossils. The most important thing here is the life recovery rate. So we are leeching faster and we are regenning faster. Just multi-modded life resistance, whatever you need. The good thing about the Chieftain is if we take the Tassalio, gives us 100% fire resistance. And this is very insanely nice because then you only have to worry about cold and lightning on your gear. So cold lightning here, cold lightning here, cold lightning here. Hey, I balanced my resistance, triple damage penetration, triple defense here from the Wise Oak Flask. Pretty nice to have. And it's pretty easy to just balance here, right? Especially on the belt here, because you can just, you don't really have to take the 19%. You can also take, if we say res, we have cold and lightning. You can just take 10 to 12, 13 to 16, 17 to 20, whatever you need. I needed 19% to balance my resistance, and then a couple of divines until they hit the 19%, and we're good. So, for the boots, I have bubonic trails here. Main reason, as I said before, because of the chance to gain phasing, because it just gives me quality of life on mapping. And I'm having a Mark of the Shaper, increased spell damage, which is quite nice. Some lightning to spells, life, energy shield, whatever you need from that one. And so you make sure that your Unset Ring is an Elder item, right? Okay, Flasks, Life Flask with freeze immunity is not the best solution here. Then we have Bleed Immunity Diamond Flask, the Wise Oak, and the Aetherius Promise for damage and defense, and a Quicksilver Flask to move faster. Check. Let's go to the skill tree real quick. From the Ascendancy, as I said, this one for the conversion, this one for the Farris, and being like able to balance the Wise Oak fairly easy. This one for the endurance charge generation, and here we have some more damage and cover enemies in Ash, which so they get really a lot of more fire damage, right? So there is one thing what you think of that I was testing myself, which is why endurance charges, which makes typically sense because you have a hard time getting those. I mean, here I solved it with the Flame Dash, right? But I'm not having them up 24/7 like the power and endurance charges, so why even worry about it, right? The thing is, here, Tempered Transcendent Flash gives you 70%, 75% multiplier, okay? What I did was, I was removing all of that here. I was going more into damage, taking Explosive Impact, taking Holy Fire, taking Throat Seeker. I really tried to remove all endurance charges and just go the damage way, right? But I had the same damage as with this version. Just that this version gives me 2 more endurance charges, life regen per endurance charge, just because the Transcendent Flash on this spot here, what we had on our Cycloner as well, 75% crit multiplier is a shit load of multiplier, right? If I would take Throat Seekers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points, and I'm getting less, right? It's like 12, 24, 54% for those points here. And here I'm getting 75, okay? So that's just amazing. So that jewel, the damage that I'm getting from here is worth going endurance charges and going all the way down here, right? So I tested a lot of these things, but in the end I had either less HP, less tankiness, but I never actually had more DPS than this version. So this is actually quite nice to have. So then, as on the Juggernaut as well, we have double Might of the Meek over here and over here. That's why I haven't scaled the big node here, because the Might of the Meek disables that one, but it powers every small node up. This also happens for all the life nodes here. Here I'm having my Unnatural Instinct. This gives me every single node that is not skilled. I'm getting all the area of effect, the skill effect duration, the life reach, and everything like that. If you cannot afford that one, then just scale into skill effect duration, you're fine. Same as here, right? Unequip the Might of the Meek, getting skill effect duration, and you're good. Then I have my Watcher's Eye that I was talking about before, with the most important thing, physical converted to fire. With the gloves, you need to get the 50% here. And if you have the currency, then you can get Physis Extra on Anger, damage penetration. If you're running an Owl's Amulet with Celatry, you can get Arcane Surge there, or Cast Speed, or whatever your budget fits, right? The rest is typical normal stuff here. I had to take the 30 dexterity because I'm actually exactly missing 30 dex on the gear, so you maybe want to have that one on a ring or on your gloves, anything like that, okay? So area of effect, the typical stuff, crit, life, power charges for the Farris 4, right? And our power charge, max power charge, so we're getting spell damage and more crit. The rest, area of effect, typical stuff. And for my jewels, I decided to take those here. Fire damage, global multiplier, and increased life. The problem is you cannot really do like multiplier from elemental hits because Blade Vortex is physical, right? So you cannot benefit from multiplier with LE skills, multiplier with fire skills, cold skills, whatever. So the only thing that you actually have is here the multiplier with fire damage and then max life. And I paid 20 chaos for this one and 25 chaos for this one, which is basically the same. Fire damage, crit multi, and max life. Alright, let's talk about the Pantheons real quick. As I said, I forgot even to activate those and to upgrade those. It was still Deathless Uber Elder. Was really hard, you know. We have life regen, we have life leech. We do a lot of regen here. We have a lot of physical damage mitigation and mitigation in general, right? Coming from our Ascendancies. We have a pretty healthy HP pool with 6,000. Quite fine, okay? So especially with the KM's roots, we have like 6.4k. Alright, so for bandits, I helped Lyra because crit build, because, yeah, crit multi and all resistance. For the cosmetics, the typical ones, double Dark Prison with Celestial Weapon effect. Then we have double, like the full Transcendent boots, body armor set with the wings, Celestial character effect and footprints, and the Transcendent portal effect. So we have the Saw Blade Vortex with the Monolith aura effect, the Herald of Ash Automaton Herald effect, then Soul Nexus aura, Wasteland Flame Dash, Celestial Righteous Fire effect, Molten Shell doesn't have anything, and the Clockwork Golem. Okay, for me, this build is done. For me, it is a success build because it exactly did what I wanted to, right? It is faster than the Jack, it deals more damage, it's still pretty tanky, I would say, and but it's still more costly to play a build like that, okay? So depending on your budget, the Fire Blade Vortex Juggernaut is super nice to play. I played this one up in hardcore, actually. So this was my, where is it, like, now it should be standard here. Where is it? Solo self-found, hardcore. Here we go. So this is the Fire Blade Vortex Juggernaut, where I got, like, inspired to do this in League as well, right? So he's still alive. Level 90, it's the same kind of playstyle that I was showing in the other build, right? So this is just showing that this character is actually hardcore solo self-found viable as well, okay? Alright, I think I'm done with this build. I will just sell everything now and get my hands on something, yeah, just a different build, because, hey, we still have more than a month to go in this league, and it's been a pleasure for me to just throw out more and more builds to just, yeah, get myself, yeah, more motivated, right? Because the game starts to get boring if you just play the same character over and over and over again. So you're just gonna make sure that you switch builds and just keep being hyped. So guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.